So we've got Claudia here. We just did lesson 11, the impression of increase. And next, we're going to study the article on risk taking. But the idea here is to look at risk with regards to our goal. So we wrote our goal down on the page, on a piece of paper. And as we read this article, and if our mind wanders, I just want us to come back to think of how is this risk related to us achieving our goal? How is this risk resonates with what we're doing? Are we doing enough risk? Do we understand risk like this? Okay. So I'll start reading. And once I'm kind of want to pass, I'll say pass, and then you'll start reading. All right. It's few pages, not too long.
All right.
So this is in one of the lessons, risk taking. The dictionary tells us that risk is to expose oneself to the chance of loss. I suppose that is true. Another piece of literature, author unknown, suggests that to laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk exposing your true self. To place your ideas, your dreams before a crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. The hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. You may avoid suffering and sorrow if you don't risk, but you simply cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, or live. The greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing does nothing, thus has nothing. Only a person who risks is free. What causes individuals to shy away from taking a risk, even if it is a low risk and will give them something they really want, well, certainly high on most people's list would be fear of loss, failure, and perceived humiliation if the loss were to occur. Why would we automatically think that we would fail at something? Why wouldn't we first try and see, and then if we did fail, learn from that experience and move on? What causes us to have these thoughts of inferiority? It dates back to our little life, and since risk-taking is likely not a subject that is taught in school, a person's fear of taking risks might seem back from before they can even remember. When you were a child taking your very first steps, it wasn't uncommon to hear one of your parents or guardians say, "Be careful, you might fall," or "Don't do that, you'll da." Though some of this is rhetoric and you don't really pay much attention to it, for some, it begins the pattern of playing it safe. Think of how much better equipped we would be to face life's challenge and succeed if we had repetitively heard, "Take a chance and don't worry about failing, because you're going to fall," probably quite often. Falling is an important part of learning. Many of the greatest lessons you receive in life are going to come from falling, from your failures. Failing will never make you a failure unless you quit. Unfortunately, very few people heard that when they were small. The vast majority of our population have been mentally programmed to play it safe. A little baby is a natural born risk taker. The baby never considers the consequences of falling when it learns to walk. Falling is acknowledged as a natural consequence to learning to walk. I guess you could call it a calculated gamble. It's a prerequisite to mastering a myriad of motor skills required to get you on your feet and moving. It's a natural progression in movement. Why then would we stop to consider that any movement into uncharted territory should be viewed with the same consideration? And I pass to Claudia. Let me move the page. So 115, 116, here we go. Go ahead.
So why is it that we do not see the process of reaching our goals as having steps similar to the ones the baby must take in order to learn to walk? There will be some stumbling and falling in the learning process, but success can only be reached when we are prepared to take those steps, all of them, even the ones where we may fall down. The real win is the confidence and experience we acquire when translated, which translates into new opportunities for growth, enjoyment, and expansion in all areas of our life. There is a four-letter word that most parents use around their children so frequently that the children pick it up, and before too long, it is buried in the treasury of their subconscious mind. That four-letter word is can't. this word has done more damage than a lot of other frowned upon four-letter words put together. Can't is a word that paralyzes any constructive progress. It switches your mind into a negative frequency. It is a four-letter word that will open your mind to a never-ending flow of logical, practical reasons which will enable you to justify why you are not able to do something you sincerely want to accomplish. The only alternative is that four-letter word is its polar opposite, I can. I can is far more important than IQ. You don't necessarily have to be very smart to win, but you must be willing. I can think of a real good example of that. Reaching the goal is not success. Success is moving toward the goal. Taking risks is essential when you want to reach a goal, and the purpose of goals is growth. There are a number of people, when you challenge yourself, you bring more of yourself to the surface. If you dream of living your life in a really big way, you must accept risk-taking as a very real part of the apprenticeship you must serve. Make a decision right now to change. Decide that this very moment, there will be no more playing it safe, no more saving it for a rainy day type thinking in your life. When people get caught up in the habit of saving for a rainy day, that is generally what they get, a rainy day. Yeah, there are a number of people that limit themselves and refuse to take a risk. They never truly test the strength of their abilities. You will never get to second base if you keep one foot on first. Too many people go through their entire lives playing their cards close to their chest. They never step out and bet on the surest thing in the world, themselves. If you hope to accumulate great wealth or achieve high goals, history records that the first few steps have a high degree of risk. You must turn your back on safety and security. To make it big, you must take big risks. You will very likely have to put yourself in a highly vulnerable position. It is also worth remembering you cannot almost take a risk. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's really good. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "You can gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face." Follow her advice and liberate yourself from the crippling emotional state of fear and enter into a world of freedom. Pass.
Oh, that's it, I think. Article's
Cool. Yeah,
it's an
that's
amazing article, and so good as you connect it with your goal, right? And where we're going and what we're doing. Am I doing enough? Do I feel like I'm pushing the limits? And just nice choice of words that he put together.
Yeah. Did Bob write that?
Yeah, that's a Bob.
Kind of felt the rhythm felt like his. Yeah. Yeah. Very just succinct, right to the point. Lots of ways to say the same thing, but very, very, very good. I can think of a good example about the
I think it's in lesson 7. Sorry, at the end of lesson
7. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember that. Okay, I'll look. Let me make a note. It's just a real quick question, example of the IQ versus I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was working with a mentor by the name of John Burley. A few years back, I was when I was in that other partnership, business partnership, and there was a gentleman who had Down syndrome from Texas, who had attended.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do math. He couldn't do anything else. But he did exactly what John is very well known in certain fields for being very highly successful and eight figures and more, and teaches. He's a good teacher. But anyway, doesn't matter. But this guy in Texas did exactly step by step, because he didn't know any better. He didn't have the ability to doubt, to challenge, to do it his way, to twist it, anything like that. Boom, 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 became a millionaire. Owned X number of doors. I can't remember that, but it was just so, he had people to help him.
Yes.
And he's just a character. I think I saw him if it's the same guy, I think I saw him in Reno one day. He was there one day. Maybe it was for the Gen W thing, because I didn't see him at the table. But he was quite,
It was.
it was,
That's
quite
wonderful. That's good.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so good. And you made a note on the article, but if you can make another note, that's gonna help you as well. And this is what I call my private client notes, which what Bob did for us, and I'll share with you. You're the only one here today, so you're benefiting the most.
Thank you.
I know we read a lot. I know we have a lot going on. You have books, you have this, you have that. But do me a favor, take one of the weeks, whichever week you want, whichever weekend you want. And at the end of every lesson, there's an article like this one, so we have 12 lessons, so there's 12 articles. And try to read them in a condensed amount of time, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days at the max to make it 12 12 articles, so one in the morning, one at night. So you're allowed to drop all the other books and just read one article in the morning, one article at night. And as you read them and your mind wanders, come back to your goal. Come back to your goal, because your mind will try to wander and take you. But I want you to think of your goal as you read this article. And why am I saying that? Because Bob spent 61 years figuring out what to give us. And these are the ones that he thought we're going to need and struggle with. Now, I don't know what we're all struggling with. We don't share a lot with each other. We do enough, but not enough as we should. So as you read through them, some of the things that are there, if you really read and to understand, it should take you 10, 15 minutes each. So it's not a lot of ask. In 1 week, you're going to see a shift in how you see things, how you see struggle, how you see your goal, or what you need to act on to move towards your goal.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's one thing you can make a note. And it doesn't matter what week you do it, you just do it. Just find the time and do it. It could be sometimes people go on vacations and just read something like that. But
I can do that. I think I can do that. I'm pretty sure I can do that. I'm still taking for 3 more days. I'm taking Roberta to get her HBOT for her brain injury. And so typically I go for a walk for 15, 20 minutes, half hour, and then I have my computer with me so I can at least get something done, while I'm there. So that would be a perfect time for me to do that, because I'm by myself enclosed in a car, and it'd be good.
Yeah, it's good. And it's going to help a lot. The other thing I'll mention on goals, because I'm studying this risk article this week, and this other one is also in the chapters, I don't know which lesson, purpose, vision, and goals. So purpose, vision, and goal. And maybe next week we will go through this one, and I'll have Bob read it for us. And we just follow along the text.
Yeah.
It's because I think we're getting closer on clarity, but many still struggle with, what's my purpose, what's my goal? I'm working with somebody now, and they get confused. Is it my vision? Is it my purpose? What's my life? What am I supposed to be doing? So this article is pretty cool. But as we start reading this article, purpose, vision, and goal, and understand it, that we can move our goal, we can have something big, people are going to get scared. So that's why I'm like, okay, if I tell them to read about the risk, I want you to read about the goals and vision, just so you know how far you can go, right?
Yeah.
So it's I like how Bob framed this purpose, vision, and goal, and I'll give you the 3-liners. So we establish our purpose, and the purpose is something you truly love to do. You find your purpose in life, something you love. Second, you're gonna have to build a vision as to how we're gonna go there, like a long-term view. Like this purpose is big, and the vision is like, this is where we're going. It's big, so it's not gonna happen in 1 hour or 1 day. And it is a long-form view, and you love doing it. And the third, you start setting these goals along the way. Okay, it's like I traveled from Cincinnati to here. I had a purpose. I wanted to meet these entrepreneurs. I wanted to meet these executives. I had a purpose. I'm traveling, right? But the goals were steps along the way. I had a vision of what I want to get out of it, my long-term vision of connecting with these influential, what am I gonna do with this information? But my goal are, okay, from Cincinnati, drive to Michigan, cross the border to Windsor, and then drive through Ontario. So have these steps of the goal.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
but we'll go through more into this article next week. Hopefully more will show up next week. I'm missing 4 students today.
Cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. And maybe I'll see you later on tonight. I am gonna jump on the 7 o'clock with the big table group tonight. They
Yeah,
have
at that time, yeah, no, I actually have a meeting after this and then onward, so, yeah.
wonderful.
I won't
Well,
be-
I'm proud of what you're doing. I like
All
what
right,
you
that's fine.
are phenomenal. And have an amazing week. Anything comes up, let me know. We'll be talking.
Thank you. I will.
Thank you.
Take care. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it.
Blessings.
Bye.